Global investors are turning their backs on the US economy in a way that has not been seen in decades. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. So what exactly am I talking about here? Well, this is historic, and I'm kind of surprised that people aren't talking about this because it's scary. Global investors are turning their backs on the US economy as Donald Trump, well, the Trump dump movement is taking hold in global capital markets. It's something that it's a little bit scary, especially if you're living in the United States right now. It's not just about individual companies and their fortunes, though Tesla has been starring in the horror show that is the US share markets since investors realized in mid-February that having Donald Trump as president could become a bit of a nightmare. Tesla stock has lost nearly $700 billion since its recent highs in November of last year. And Tesla is now worth less than SpaceX is worth, which is kind of weird and something that I don't think anyone predicted would happen. But the broader US share market is plunging as well. The S&P was down 1% last week on Monday, on top of a 10% fall of the past month. That's a loss of around US $5 trillion in value. The NASDAQ was down around 2%. All these numbers don't mean that much until you actually start to have a look at what's actually happening. What's the reason? Well, Bank of America's monthly survey of big global investors revealed some startling trends. Investors are bailing out of US shares at record levels. A net 23% of investors report being underweight US stocks, compared to a net 17% overweight in February. This marks a 40 percentage point swing in US equity allocation within a single month. That's the largest swing on record. In 100 years of records, we have not seen this happen ever before. Where are investors heading? Well, one of Trump's key targets, Europe. A net 39% of fund managers now hold an overweight position in European equities, which is up from 12% last month, and the highest level since mid-2021. Europe's key Stocks 600 index is up 8.5% so far this year. The London market is up nearly 6%. It's the biggest rotation in allocation on record. In addition, some investors are moving to China, where companies like Xpeng and BYD, their stock prices have skyrocketed recently. These investors are worldwide fund managers. We're talking fund managers that are working with billions of dollars. They're not American corporate executives who have spent months sucking up to Trump. The survey shows that big global investors now see Europe as a better risk, a bolt hole compared with Trump-battered American markets. How this is going to play out is going to be truly fascinating. A remarkable 83% of investors now expect US growth to slow. 83% are saying US growth will slow. That was up from just 28% the previous month. The sharpest deterioration in sentiment in more than a decade. And that 60% of investors now expect stronger European growth in the next year, up from just 9% 2 months ago. And I wonder if this positive sentiment about Europe is more about the negative sentiment existing in the United States. As in my opinion, to be honest, the European economy doesn't really appear to be going all that well either. Adding to the pro-Europe sentiment, though, will be the success of incoming German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in shepherding through a crucial package of financial reforms to boost the German economy and defense spending. Crikey.com.au says that the survey showed that cash levels held by these big investors jumped sharply. A move that a clear-sighted Warren Buffett made in 2024 in anticipation of the chaos Trump would bring to the US market. Interestingly, they did not go heavily into bonds, usually the first port of call for scared or nervy investors. Funds allocated to bonds in the US, Europe, and Asia fell. A telling measure of the confusion and also the pessimism that has driven the Wall Street sell-off in recent weeks. If Australian fund managers haven't joined in the exodus from the US, they'll be sitting on big paper losses, which will feed directly into retirement savings here in Australia. The dump Trump vibe has infected investors as well, pushing the ASX, the Australian Stock Exchange market, down 6.6% in the past month and more than 4% so far in 2025. Is this just a normal market correction? No, clearly it's something much more than that. The value of the Trump meme coin, remember that meme coin? It has slumped more than 4% yesterday and is down more than 40% in the past month. Doge, its value is plummeting. Trump's own Trump media is down by more than 30% in the last month and 40% this year. Now, Bernard Keane has reported on this information that I've shared with you for crikey.com.au, and the point here remains, whether you do like Trump or you don't, these numbers are still accurate, they're still valid, and it does show there is panic, not just from individual investors, not just from people that are trying to destroy Teslas or do crazy things. There's panic from massive institutional investors. They believe that Donald Trump is, well, potential of doing anything at any point. So people are trying to leave the US market, trying to get their money out. How do you guys think this will play out? Let me know what you think in the comments. Everyone in the United States now knows that Donald Trump does not like electric cars. He doesn't like wind power, doesn't really like solar all that much, not really all that interested in batteries, but he wants to drill for lots of oil. Now, what I'm curious to know is how the states who basically voted for him, because they're Republican states, how they feel about this, because they have, well, they're the places where most of these car factories have been built. Oklahoma, Kentucky, Texas. These locations, not only do they, well, love wind because wind power actually makes logical sense for them, but they've invested heavily into these new electric car factories and into these new battery factories. And now Donald Trump is saying that was a terrible idea, and he's not going to support it. Some of the smartest people I know are fans of Donald Trump. And you know what? I understand why. Because some things he says are compelling. Some things he does are compelling. Some of the ways he does them are compelling. However, there's also some pretty big issues here. In fact, some of the things he's doing and saying don't make any sense even if you're a Republican. Now, that kind of sounds crazy, but I'll explain exactly why. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching The Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. Now, of course, Elon Musk is supporting Trump and Trump's supporting Elon Musk, and a lot of people don't like this. I feel like we're living in some sort of twilight zone here. Everything's just gone weird. However, Thomas L. Friedman said in the New York Times, which to be honest is not a paper I often read, that Trump is going woke.